Okay, Becki, my dear, we're here.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad to be here.
Yay!
Yay.
Okay, so for anyone who ever watches this, we just did our magic together and went into a place of bliss, and which is available to anyone, right?
And I'm gonna giggle because it's like was a beautiful place, and yeah, it's available to anyone.
And so we've discovered that. So Becki and I only met each other 3 months ago, maybe on Zoom, and definitely feel like we're soul sisters, soul playmates. Maybe we could call ourselves that. Good.
Playmates. That sounds fun.
But basically, we were meant to meet, and and a dear friend connected us, and we've had a very similar journey of really through a lot of hardship. But we're now two very strong women,
yes,
and who are sort of claiming our that divine feminine power, and not so much the divine feminine mother suffering energy, but transmuting a lot of that suffering into something that encompasses all that we've been through, and the beauty of all of that, but also then coming and owning a new way of being in the world.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And so sure enough, we're on most of our life, right? We are 60 some, young women. And
are we really that?
I know, it's hard to imagine. I don't know. I can't hardly imagine. But let's go ahead and claim it. And because we've had that much learning to go through. And we are now in this new place, and we want to share this with other women, other people, and not just women. We want to show up for others in where we have come to through all that we've been through. And we want to really actually help men to come into that divine masculine, and come into the balance of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, both. And so sure enough, before so Becki and I, we both do energy work. We're just like kind of twinsies, right? The work that I do, you do, and we know it. And so 3 months ago, then we meet, she's in Montana and I'm in Nampa. And then we had the amazing opportunity to get together in person and do some activations, some healing, some bonding, I would say reconnection from eons past, from our eons past. We were together, right? Because we just know, we know each other in a deep, eternal soul kind of way.
Yes.
So when we don't even need to know the exactness of that feeling, we just need to know that it exists, right?
It just is.
It just is. So we have a lot of fun together, and we didn't know what would happen. And I'm doing this video because I thought it was really important to, first of all, talk about the sort of the work that we are finding ourselves in, really by doing the work for ourselves, because of our, once again, we're kind of walking through the path of the learning and the transformation, the walking the path, and allowing, instead of running away from it, going towards it, saying, what is this pain and suffering I am holding here?
Yeah.
Let me know more about what this is. So as healers, we seek healing all the time. We're doing it all the time. And for ourselves, so that then just so we can be the best healers that we can be, but also so that we can have that experience that allows us to understand that you can shift. You know, every time I heal myself, I think, you know, of something, I think, if only I could just share this with so many people so that they would know this can be there for their healing as well, that this is possible.
Yeah.
So, so anyway, that's what we're doing here. And we got together and we allowed Spirit to walk through our time together. We had an evening, a full day, and then another morning. So we, you know, and we knew that we were going to pack in a lot into that time. We just didn't know how or what was going to happen, right?
And boy, did we.
Yeah, yeah. And we fed off, you know, our intuition. We used our intuition to be guided. And I offer Beyond Quantum Healing hypnosis sessions. And Becki, had you ever been hypnotized?
I had been hypnotized before, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm familiar. I had not done the Beyond Quantum healing hypnotherapy. Healing, yeah. But I have done other therapy sessions, so I was a little familiar. Yeah.
And you'd found the other hypnosis sessions that you've done pretty helpful. Do you remember?
Yeah, very much so. Yes.
So go ahead.
I think all of the you know, the different types and for the different scenarios, you know, it was all really good.
So again, one of our tools, one of those things that we go into to try to work, you know, our own path, so that we can help others. So I've used hypnosis a lot. One of my biggest experiences was a life between life regression that I had done. And it was amazing. And I think very similar to the Beyond Quantum Healing, or how powerful they can be, very, very powerful. And so, so as a hypnotherapist, I always felt like I was putting on my hypnotherapy hat, and then I was putting on my healer hat, you know, energy healer hat. And so the Beyond Quantum Healing is so amazing because it allows us to, me or healers that do this work, spiritual healers, to go ahead and put on both hats at the same time. So we're guiding people through, but we're also very energetically present during the process of what's going on.
Yes.
And every session is completely different. And so it's one of the things that I wanted to, you know, title this was The Power of Possibility with Beyond Quantum Healing sessions, because you never know what's going to happen, what each person's experience is going to be. And so I thought it was, you know, it was lovely because Becki said she'd be willing to talk about her experience and talk about herself and her work, and how this actually really assisted her in a you know, class that you were already planning on doing before we ever even thought about doing the Beyond Quantum Healing. So it's as usual, you know, Spirit shows up right away to support us, and beautifully. And so Becki, why don't you talk about the class and why you came to do the class and what you were doing, and tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. And I'm actually going to go I'm going to turn a light on real quick.
Oh, sure.
Hang on. Let me turn a light on. It's getting dark here and I don't have lights on. Heavens.
There we go.
A little bit.
And she's in her beautiful space in Hamilton, Montana. Yeah. Okay.
Better. Well, I have been feeling pulled to do a class that I decided to call Dancing the Divine Feminine. And this has been a pull for me for several months of bringing a group of women together and honoring aspects of ourselves through our divine feminine, and also honoring our unique experiences, all of the different things we've been through, all of the wisdom that we all carry, but also getting really connected to Mary Magdalene and you know, the energies of Gaia and the energies of this kind of rising of the divine. I've felt it so strongly within myself that I'd had this class brewing for months. And on March 20th, I decided I was taking a journey to spread my husband's ashes, who passed away 1.5 years ago. And I was honoring what he had requested. And so I was doing this big journey of my own healing of my heart and my connection with him. I'm still very connected to him. But I was taking this journey. So before I left on the journey, I decided, okay, Becki, let's just do this class. You just have to do this class. And so I put a flyer together and I was like, okay, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to put it out there and see if anybody would want to join me in dancing this divine energy, you know, because I'm very much keyed into feeling energy and moving energy. I feel it and move it through my body a lot. And I know that we all have the ability to do that. We're all these, you know, sensing, electrical, energy moving beings, right? And I just wanted to give a space for women to feel safe to do that, to open up and trust that they can connect with their feminine. So I went on my journey. And I had an event happen that I literally was not anticipating. It was not related to my husband or what I was doing on that journey. It was something else that came into my life that kind of took me into my own dark night of the soul. It triggered some really, really old wounding in me. And I struggled. I was struggling. I was heartbroken. I was in this space of questioning myself completely. Like, oh my gosh, am I doing the right thing? Am I really a healer helping people? Am I supposed to be doing this work? I'm not even sure I'm supposed to be doing this class. Because I was questioning my own feminine self because of my history. Being a woman who has been wounded and you know, I've had a lot of trauma in my life related to my sexuality. And so I'm not, you know, I tend to not reach out. I get busy and I do what I do. And I just said, I have to reach out to Barbara. I can't do this one alone. I am so down in my own trauma that I knew I wasn't going to be of service to anybody till I did healing for myself and what was being triggered. I've done work for years. I started doing this work on myself in my 20s. And you know, the part of me is like, Becki, you've done this work with yourself, but guess what? There was still some really deep-seated stuff, shame, guilt, trauma that came up. And what I recognize, and we'll share this a little bit about this, but it's not just my trauma either. I recognize that as an empath,
Right.
you know, I pick up on energies as well, and the collective, and the divine feminine is calling us to do a whole bunch of healing right now. So, so I was in the thick of it, and I texted Barbara and I said, I need help. And bless your heart, Barbara, you invited me to come.
Yeah, and immediately
I
thought it was going to be your healing, and then they reminded me, oh yeah, and you're going to get a lot too. Of course, because we know as healers, whoever shows up in our path, it's going to be part of our work as well. And that's probably why we magnetize that person to us, which is so makes it all so much more beautiful. So, yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
Oh, it's okay. So I finished the journey that I needed to do with Jack, my beloved, and I did his ashes, and I finished that journey. And then I took another journey for myself. And I went over and spent time with you, Barbara, and I went and spent time with my family. And I did the journey that I needed to do for my own healing and my own self. And it was amazing. It was amazing. And it was exactly right on track with what I was preparing for in doing this work in class with others.
Right. So let's just talk about the session itself. We did that the next morning. You arrived in the evening. We did it the next morning. And the night before, we had what I feel like was probably a preparatory sort of energy meditation. We really did feel the support around us as we were meditating together. And we also, for the first time, right, we really felt the magic of the two of us, that two or more aspect of being together with someone that we know. There's this Christ light within the two, between us and within us, and that it really is in common with both of us. And so, and we didn't even need to put words to that. We just, we can feel that. So we felt that the night before, and then we did the healing, the Beyond Quantum healing session the next morning. And one of the things that typically happens with the Beyond Quantum healing is a lot of times, based upon the intention of the type of hypnosis that, or your intention of what you want to, the answers you want to answer, and the intention of why you're having in the first place. A lot of times the spirit will take you to a past life experience or maybe multiple past life experiences that's going to really be kind of a theme. They might be a theme of these past life experiences. But for you, and then eventually maybe take you to see to where you meet your soul family or your higher self, or God source, or how, you might be taken into the void. And there's a variety of things that can happen. So I even almost hate to say what it might be, but because it is so very different for each person. But for you, we went right, as we did the hypnosis and the induction, you went right into spirit. I believe you began with the purple energy, right?
Yeah, the purple energy just really came in, and what I was, sensing and feeling was, it was just like this, almost like a fog of energy. This beautiful, beautiful purple energy, healing, wonderful feeling energy, started to just really infiltrate all my cells. And I worked really closely with my partner, Jack. And so Jack came right in, and I felt him and was aware of our connection. And that energy just really was bathing me and bathing my cells. And I feel like it was setting the stage for what was to come.
Right. Yes, definitely. So Becki has been generous enough to share the actual information from spirit that came through. I feel like it's channeling. I would call it channeling, and where you were actually speaking what you were hearing, but it wasn't like you heard it and then spoke it, right? It's more like you were just speaking it as.
Yes, I was speaking it as. It felt as if I was one with what was coming through. I don't even exactly know what it was. I guess I don't have to know what title or label it was, but the energy was coming through, and I was one with it. So as I was speaking, it was as if it was
the voice. It was the voice.
Yeah.
speaking. And so would you like to read that a little, let's go into it. And because the reason we wanted to, Becki and I chose to share this is because the message is so powerful in and of itself. It's great to hear what a BQH, what I call beyond quantum healing, or a BQH session can do for you. But it's also, what is so beautiful is much of the information that comes through these sessions are things that I learn, or things that I go, oh my gosh, that is exactly what I needed to hear right now, or something. So there's teachings that come through that aren't just for the person. And of course, you brought this into your class, you said, and it was perfect, right? So it opened up. So what, in essence, what we were so privileged to have is a teaching for me, a teaching for you, and then a teaching for all of your people that you did in this class. And now we're sharing it because we feel that it's important for everyone to understand and hear, as a sort of this clarion call, maybe, to all of us suffering female, divine feminine, who have suffered. But to remember about the suffering, there is a point in it all, right? And there is a reason. And we came here to do this. Like, we were made for this. And we were made for this. And so that's the important message. And we want to share that now.
Yes.
This is a timely message, but this message will hold for years to come, I feel like. And the importance of this message. And so I'm honored that you're willing to share this with everyone. So do you want to just speak? You transcribed it.
I did.
And then, so as you go through, you might stop and explain if you had a certain feeling, or if anything was coming to you that beyond the words. But essentially, what you're going to be saying is the words that you were basically channeling at that moment during the Beyond Quantum Healing session. Okay.
Yeah. So as I was, once my body was kind of bathed in that purple energy, and I felt my cells vibrating and moving up, we had, and we knew that Jack was there. Right. So I'll share a little bit about the beginning, because we were asking, because the evening meditation that we had done and the connection we had done was just really powerful for both of us. And so we asked if there was any information to be shared about what we experienced the night before. And so I asked Jack if he had anything he would like to share about the evening that we had. He told us that we were surrounded by so many souls, that we were learning to hold the energy, that we were coming together, so honored and loved in the understanding of who we are. We experienced a small piece of our full potential, learning how to hold the frequencies and the healings that are available to us. We are learning how to embody higher frequencies. The body is adjusting. As we learn to hold the higher frequencies in our body, we learn to adjust and adapt, holding power. And in that power, the transmutation happens naturally. And so part of that, I think, my sense was that the part of that, what we experienced the night before, was we had literally were transmuting some of those energies and healings within us, right, Barbara?
Yeah, we were having actually a lot of sacral chakra, second chakra, and solar plexus energy coming into us. I mean, actually, and they were describing it as the holy fire.
Yes.
And it was almost as if it was coming up through us in, almost a root chakra activation coming up through. So it was very powerful in that feminine nature of that energy. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then going, yeah.
And then, so then I just kept kind of breathing into it, and the energies started to rise in me, and I was feeling my cells, vibrating. They were just really vibrating. And what started coming through, what came through the channel or me was, this is what they said. Sharing that. So the night before we'd had that transmutation, right? Or that transformation of energy or that healing.
Yeah.
Sharing that, teaching that, stepping into the light. So much power at our disposal. Learning how to hold in the body the frequencies. As we hold the frequencies, we are helping Gaia. That is why Gaia was coming in so strong. Gaia is holding us in this time of ascension. Mary Magdalene's presence and the rise of the divine feminine is a balancing of it all. And I was beginning to feel the power that was starting to infiltrate my body. I was feeling that rising, and I was feeling that power. And then I was aware of constriction, starting to feel, the heaviness and the constriction in my body. And what came through was understanding the pain and the grief, the heartache, the physical hardships that we are able to hold with so much light, through so much light, the doorway of so much light. And that doorway was as if it was the pain and the suffering and the grief and the shame, and all of that was in this doorway. And yet the doorway at the same time was opening to light, and like the light was shining on that. And so what they said was, we can't understand without going through. To understand, we must go through the doorway. That is the transmutation, transformation, the alchemization that the energy, the light, vibration, frequency is held. So then my sacral chakra, so I was, I'm still tingling, my body's still vibrating. I think I'm in tears. I was like, the energies were so powerful.
Crying too. Right?
I was in tears. But the energies were so powerful coming into me. And then they said the sacral chakra is being infused, holding of that energy for eons. And it felt like eons. What I felt was like so ancient and old. The heartache of the divine feminine. We have to transmute through us, through the physicality, to hold the healing. They were very clear. This is how you do it. You do it through the body. It was almost overwhelming. I said, I'm overwhelmed. I'm almost overwhelmed by the power and the constriction, the energy I was feeling. But I was being encouraged to hold it. Eons and eons of heartache. The healing that needs to take place is so massive. Allow, allow, allow. Holding that vibration. They were asking me to hold it all. They said it's safe. Mary Magdalene is holding my hand through this. I saw her, she's holding her hands. She's holding the light for all of us. We are the conduit that has to be. We have to be. We hold the physical. We hold the physical. We have to be able to bring in through the physical the alchemy of the pain. The density felt in the body is so old. So the sidebar is what I was feeling and the stuff that was happening in my body felt so old. And they said, there is no time. It is the Sophia energies, which when that came through, it was huge energy. The divine energies that are so ancient. So they kept going. It's time to show the way, show the way, show the way. To stand in the light through the pain, through the shame, through the guilt of eons. To stand in the light of all expressions of the wounding of the divine. Ooh, okay, that brings me right to that moment. It was like, it was so powerful. That's probably, I was really crying probably there.
Right.
Because it was so powerful. And I know, Barbara, you were feeling it. I mean, we were both in the experience.
I was crying, and I was feeling my own. The part that was so powerful was when you said the eons, you know, and it was ancient energy, and I could really, it was almost as if, but we were coming into this now moment of healing, right? Everything was coming into this moment. Mm-hmm. And it was this moment where you go, it's all to the good, you know, for all of that pain and suffering that we had had throughout all of our lifetimes. And we're, you know, Becki and I are very aware of many of our lifetimes, past lifetimes, where the horror of the suffering that went on, and these things bleed over into our current lives, you know, just little hints, little tendrils of energy. And so you have a hint of it, and you know, we're walking through it half the time, not knowing what it's from, or why it's so strong, or what the exact experience is. But when you come into a moment like this, where you're pulling it all in, it really doesn't matter the details. What matters is the grief, like the sadness, the sobbing. Like, I think we were sobbing at some point, you know, because you recognize how much
we were
how much as a feminine soul, and choosing to live in this feminine body. And we're just speaking of the feminine, not to say that it doesn't happen with the masculine as well, but what we're speaking with now is, you know, the suffering as a divine feminine energy, and walking into really for a reason. We walked into the pain and suffering for a reason.
Yes.
And that's what was being really brought into our now moment, and how that felt. Yeah. So, okay. So where, and then, keep going.
Just keep going.
Yeah.
So this is where they reminded me that the divine masculine wants healing too. Right. And that was Jack. So I felt Jack come in, and that's the piece that he holds, the healing that he wants too. It's the alchemization of both the divine feminine and the divine masculine. That's where we're headed. That's this ascension, right?
Right.
So I'm just going to keep going, holding, transmuting, and alchemizing, feeling the constrictions as light moves into, then expand it. So I was feeling these waves of constriction of my sacral chakra, my solar plexus, and then the expansion of the energy as the light was bathing and washing. Feeling the density of the solar plexus and sacral chakra, the constriction there for so long. It kept feeling so ancient and so long. The power that we hold as the divine feminine now has been hidden, shut down, challenged, gilded, feeling the magnitude of all of the shame being held and hidden the heartache, and the density of it all. It's time to allow the light to be moved into that awareness. Shed light to be shown on our pain, on our shame, on the abuse, on the holding back that we have done on ourselves, the hiding that we have done for eons, the things we didn't do, the shaming of ourselves because we didn't feel safe. We couldn't share. We were often killed or hurt. So much suffering of who we were and the power we held, so we kept it quiet. We let people think we were less than. We didn't shine our light so that we would be protected. Those of us who are here now have the ability to feel all the pain, the suffering, the grief, the heartache, the shame, the guilt, to hold it, to shift it, to alchemize it as we ascend and share light and bring in the power of the divine feminine in complete balance with the divine feminine or masculine. So the divine feminine in complete balance with the divine masculine. They told me that the Becki here is not separate from Barbara or any other woman doing this work. We are here transforming all suffering through our physical bodies, our own pain, our own suffering. We have that ability. We are doing it for all, for our ancestry, for the divine feminine, for Gaia. We're doing it to move into the new. And, you know, the energies were, you know, they were so powerful. At this point, it was so strong what was coming through. I felt this sense of, I started to feel that power that they were talking about, as if I was standing then in some essence of myself. And this is what came through. We hold the power, hold the power, hold the power. We were meant to be. It is the death of the old. We hold death in the palm of our hands as we step into the new. The old, which I interpreted as death, is just the birthing of the new. Jack and I, and the energy that we hold, the new energy that we hold through grief and pain, and for me, loss, the holding and the stepping into the power of energy through the threshold of death into the new. There are those that are here to hold that energy, the memories to alchemize, because we hold it all. We hold it all. And then at this point in the session, you know, Barbara, you came in and you were thanking all of our guides and all of the beings with us. And we were doing this really beautiful honoring, right?
Right.
And sharing. And so they came through, and what they said is, thank you for being on the planet. So many souls doing the work of ascension. It has to happen through your body. We are so honored. We don't see you as less than. We see you as so much more. And then there weren't any words to describe what I was feeling. The energy just was so beautiful and so intense. And then at the very, very end, my beloved Jack came through and he said, "This is how I see you. I'm holding you."
Yeah. If we could, I mean, I always, it's so beautiful, because such a beautiful way to end it, because I feel like in so many of my sessions, and you probably do too, Becki, that if we could tell them, the person that we're working with, because here we are we're really putting on the mantle of God, you know, kind of in a way, when we come into people, into sessions. And we only see this beautiful soul sitting across from us, or, you know, and I often think, oh my gosh, if they could just see what I see, or understand
Yes.
how amazing, they are. And so really Spirit was saying that to you, just allow yourself to know, we're brave, courageous, determined, fiery, whatever it is that got us to where we are with our problem and with our wonderful things that have happened in our life.
Yeah.
But in every single way, we have so much more to be proud of for what we've survived, what we've gotten through. And if we could only understand that, really, we'd be able to let go of a lot of things.
Well, go ahead.
I just think that people don't give themselves, just don't see themselves that way. And that's what Jack's.
How strong and beautiful and powerful we really are, right?
Right.
We're so conditioned to judge ourselves so harshly. And I think one of the things that was so, then I came out of that session just really, really with this awareness of how powerful we are as beings of light in the physicality to feel all of it, and then to shift it and change it and alchemize it within us. And so when we do that, not only are we affecting the field for us, right, personally, but we're literally standing in a frequency and a vibration that radiates out, and we don't even have to say a word. The power of that radiates out and affects the field of others, and affects the collective, and shifts and helps Gaia, right? Yeah.
And I know that for some people listening to this, it's like, I don't understand when you say hold the power, and it's like, that's okay, because, actually it's taken us a while to understand what that really means. And it is a process. I think of how much I can handle now. We could sort of rephrase it to be like, how much trauma, how much heartache, how much challenge can you handle and still be in balance?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be a way to explain it a little more, less metaphorically and a little more normal language? But it is an ability. I was going through something, pretty challenging in my own life right now. And I can look at myself and how I'm responding to it now, how my overall demeanor is, how I move through my day, even though the challenge is still there.
Yes.
But I'm moving through my day with an ease and grace that I didn't necessarily have the last time I moved through a similar challenge.
Sure.
So we're moving into that and be able to stand in that, like, and I talk about it as all is well, the all is well energy.
Yes.
Even though things are falling apart all around us, we can still stay in that, the power of knowing we're in a holding that light frequency with the divine, such that no matter what happens, we know we're cared for, we know we're loved, we know we're connected to the divine, we know we have this amazing source energy flowing in on us all the time. We have the spirits that we felt so strongly, both of us, during our meditations, and then again into the hypnosis session. So that's basically what you and I are all about. I think we have a common goal with whoever we work with. We want them to feel that. We want them to feel the energy of the divine as a palpable thing in their body.
Yes.
Not very many people, not many healers have I talked to that have kind of the same, talking about a lot of the goal that they have for the work that they do. And I think we have a kind of a core goal and then of course we do things differently, and we have unique classes and a few offerings that are unique, but both our intention of how, when we work with people, it's to help them light their own spark of the divine within them so they can feel it and help that to grow.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And so, out of that session and the work that we did again the next day, because that was another powerful morning, I decided I needed to go ahead and hold the class.
Yeah.
And we had 8 women on Saturday, and I allowed myself, even though I was leading and facilitating, I mean, I'm a facilitator, I was just facilitating an experience. But allowing myself to be vulnerable in front of these women, creating a safety net, like a safe place for us to be in what we're feeling and what we're experiencing, and to know that it's okay, that we have each other's back, that we are in this together, that we're journeying together. And so it was a beautiful experience because I had just been through what I'd been through, Barbara, and we did the work that we did. And I was able to share this same session with them. I read this as part of the class, and we did move our bodies, and we did do meditation, and we brought awareness to what that feels like in the body and to move some of that energy through. So it was beautiful. The class was, because of what we did and because of the energies, and of course it was all divine.
Right.
It was perfect, right?
Yeah, no mistakes.
There was no mistakes. As hard as it was to go through what I was going through, it was like I saw the bigger picture. So that's part of that, standing in that power of, even in the midst of your grief and trauma that I was feeling, like wondering and questioning my very reality, right? But then having the awareness, but it's on track. There is a reason. I understand there's something bigger at play, and pulling myself out a little bit and being able to say, no, I need to move through this. And so it was just such a beautiful, thing for me to be able to offer our journey, because you were there. You were a big part of it, even though you weren't physically here, but to be able to offer that to these other women. And they were able to open up to a level of vulnerability and talking about some of their traumas and healing. And we had this group healing. Yeah,
so powerful, the group healing just in general. Yes, and especially when we come into that same sacred place with our authentic self. We're not hiding anything. And we're sharing from a very, very core place in us. We can't help but move things and shift things, and stand and be those powerful women that we know ourselves to be. So thank you for sharing your experience. And again, it's like the teaching just hopefully will go on to those maybe even considering the Beyond Quantum Healing sessions. Again, not that this is going to be your experience, but you're going to have an experience that's going to be equally the perfect one for you. Just like, we've talked about how no energy healing session is the same, right? Even with the same client, they're so different every time. And so we want to go with the flow of that, and not to have, I think that idea of, that expectations, not to have necessarily expectations, have more, it's the word is possibilities. And that's what I'm going to title this. It's the power of possibilities. What could happen? What thing that is really has been maybe holding you back, that you can heal with energy work, with a hypnosis session, with a group activation, with whatever it is that you choose to do, just do something.
Yes.
I used to say, just do something, because
Something.
there's so much that is there to be offered for healing right
Yes.
now.
Yes.
And
Because you know
everybody,
what? We all need it.
and we all need it. Yep. Even the healers, the healing,
Yep.
the healers. It
They
happens
can.
it happens all the time. Definitely. And I'm not ashamed to say it, or I'm not guilty to
Yeah,
say it.
no, me either. It's like, oh, thank heavens.
Yeah, heavens. So thank you, Becki, and Becki Koon, Hamilton. And your business is called
Stepstone. Mm-hmm.
Stepstone. And you had written a book. So talk about your, or actually 2 books, right? You've
I've
written
actually got more. I've got more than that, but I wrote a solo book that was released in right around the first of the year about my journey with my husband in conscious death, the conscious death process that we went through, and then the afterlife connection that we now share. And it was, you know, it's a very, it's a very intense book, but it's very powerful in that we were able to go through that process together. So if anyone is dealing with losing someone or going through the process of that death passage, you know, it can be very, you know, it can be very hard, but it can also, I also shared things that we did along the way that helped him. How we helped him release his body, you know, kind of some of the activities that we did to support him, because he knew it wasn't about him surviving. And so we actively participated in his process. So 20 Days Changed Everything is the name of the book. It is on Amazon. You can Google it or search it on Amazon. And it is that journey, the 20 days, and then my 9-month journey afterwards of, you know, going through my process of healing, but also the amazing things that were taking place in my connection with him.
Mhm.
So
the first, okay, we'll end this with this first little connection with Jack with me then. So the first time that I met with Becki, we had our little tea, 3-hour Zoom tea, I think it was. That was how we introduced ourselves. And then I'm outside in the front, standing in front of my house with my little puppy dog. And I'm thinking about, you know, how lovely it was connecting. And then sure enough, down the road, just above the tops of the houses, the roofs of the houses, comes this large flying bird. The wingspan was massive. And I thought, what is that, like a crane or something coming down my street? And then sure enough, as it got closer, I realized it was a bald eagle. Mm-hmm. And a bald eagle literally coming around the curve of the road and flies right in front of me. So unbelievable that it happened, that I sat there and went, okay, what is this? And then I went, it's Jack. He did a flyover.
He did a flyover.
Yeah. Bye, Jack. Yeah. And so, yeah, so those are the things that happen to healers, right? And people who step into recognizing that our life can become a mystical, magical wonderland, really, actually, right?
Despite our humanness, right?
Despite all of the pain and suffering, we can still just be awed till, you know, to the amazingness of it all. So, and we're going to keep talking about that kind of thing. And we're just going to keep talking about that.
We just have some stories to share. We have life.
We have lots. We have lots that we haven't even shared with each other. And we've had like a lot of hours to share, but we actually have more to discover about each other as well. So, and we have a reason for it, right? Because we want to share this message. We're just what we talk about. We want to share how to be in that power of the divine. Really, that's what it comes down to. So we're going to do more of that.
Yay!
Because I think we're awesome because they told us that we were. So I'm gonna go with that. All right. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So thank you, Becki. All right.
Yes, thank you, Barbara.
Mm-hmm.